This week on the Gun Room, we're visiting with Tu Lam, Special Forces veteran and owner of Ronin Tactics. Any of you out there who are or have become Call of Duty veterans this year may recognize him as the playable character Ronin.
Like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary guy, let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the wake up, get out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace.
Don't fear death, fear me.
I'ma put him in a cage, never let out the
And if you've played as Ronin, then you are certainly familiar with Ronin's signature rifle, the Soulful Wanderer. So we took some time this week to visit with Ronin himself, talk a little bit about his real life rifle that they use to model in the game, and then talk about some of the changes that they made when they rendered the rifle and how we were actually able to clone the exact rifle as it appears in the game and the differences between the two. So let's start off with talking about the process that you had to go through on your end to get this rifle, your actual carbine, into the game.
Well, you know, Infinity Ward was really interested in this rifle. This rifle was used, we used this rifle to teach all around the United States. And so they were really interested in scanning in this particular rifle. Due to the, California laws, it's hard to get a assault rifle into the state of California. So I had to take a lot of detailed pictures. That means that they wanted measurements, they wanted detailed shots of certain areas, and basically they digitally reconstructed the weapon. Due to the licensing issues and everything else, this became more of the platform for the character Ronin, which I find is really unique, seeing the two platforms side by side now.
Well, so let's talk about that, right? Like you said, for game designers, and there's IP and there's copyright and there's trademark issues. So if you look at this rifle, and we're going to show you some detail shots here in a minute, but if you look at this rifle, you are going to see some differences from this rifle to what you see on the screen when you sign in as Ronin on Call of Duty. So let's talk a little bit about how exactly you built your rifle out and some of the key components. What's your barrel, what's your trigger? Tell us a little bit about the carbine itself.
Well, I like a 14.5-inch barrel, and the reason why is I like the range. I like the twist ratio on a 14.5-inch barrel. I decided to go with a surefire break just because it mounts up to the suppressor that I'm used to using during my time in the military. We definitely roll with some kind of IR flood or some kind of IR pointer in the military. And we have our tack lights. I'm running a Surefire Scout and Geisley rails. I like the Leopold, but I also use the EOTech during my service years, right? So definitely used to both platforms. What I like about this particular rifle when I was building is I wanted an ambidextrous platform. I want to be able to move from left to right. So you'll see the mechanisms and mechanics on both sides where I can manipulate the weapon on both sides. And then everything else, just a basic, rifle build out. I have my storage of batteries in the pistol grip compartment. Edgar Sherman sling, and just regular buttstock. I mean, but talk about your rifle. Talk about the Ronin rifle.
Obviously, this was not what wound up on the screen, one for one. So we took the opposite approach. We started with what we were seeing on the screen, and me personally actually not knowing how your personal gun was set up. All I had to go on was what I saw on screen when I played the game. So there are going to be some differences. There were some differences in how the imagery is presented in the game. So I kind of had to work backwards from that. My goal was not to clone Tu's personal rifle in real life, but to clone the Soulful Wanderer rifle exactly, or as close to exactly as we could get it in the game. So for ease of muzzle device, we actually went with a 16-inch barrel. I do personally prefer a 14.5, but it was just easier for the sake of the build. It's a 16-inch Roscoe Manufacturing 3-gun barrel. That's a carbine length gas system, which we tipped with a Battle Comp Enterprises Battle Comp. Our vertical grips look, I think we pretty much got the same vertical grip. That is a Tango Down stubby vertical grip. Also went with some storage in the pistol grip, as you said. The buttstock we had to change. The buttstock that most closely resembled what you see in the game is a Rogers Super Stock, and we got this through Special Ops Tactical. And you made an interesting point about there wanting to have an ambidextrous platform, and we were actually able to replicate that. And you can actually see on here we do have a right side bolt release. And when we flip this rifle over in a minute, you're going to see that there also is a left side magazine release button, ambi safeties. It looks like we went with just about the same ambidextrous charging handle. And we started with ADM receivers, I believe. What did you start with? Do you have Santan receivers? Do you know?
No, this is a tri-arc receiver.
Okay.
It's a specially built tri-arc receiver that's ambidextrous.
Okay, great. So again, we want to mimic that the ambidextrous platform. Let me ask you a little bit about your bolt. Not a gold bolt is not something that you see every day. So talk me how you got there.
Well, you know, when I built my weapon, I wanted something that was unique to Ronin, and just a little of an Eastern philosophy. The gold in the dragon happens one every dynasty, every 100 years. So a gold dragon in Asian culture, well, it was very rare. So I wanted to capture that gold bolt, and I want to be able to put it into the weapon, but we nickel boron the gold bolt. So this thing is sleek. Right out of the box, it feels like it's fired at least 10,000 rounds through it, just because it's a nickel boron bolt.
That's a tough story to follow. I had to go with what I saw on screen. The bolt on screen was gold, so they did get that. You know, they got that as a 1-for-1. So the bolt we wound up going with was from Iron City Rifle Works. And you can see that we actually didn't even bother putting a dust cover on because it's pretty prominent when you see the rifle in the game. We wanted it to be prominent when we showed you the rifle here and when we're going to go take it on the range here in a bit. So we actually just left the dust cover off. So let's talk optics. Optics on a rifle, there are so many of them out there and it's a very personal choice. So let me start with you. And what do you actually use as an optic on your daily driver?
Well, I'll tell you, man, you know, being in the military, we were issued the EOTech. So I ran the EOTech majority of my career since I was 21 years old. When I first came to the teams, we were running the very first series EOTechs. I like the Leopold LCO. It gives me the same form factor as what I'm used to with the EOTech, but it's very simplistic because it's just one dot. And you could dial down the dot to 1 minute angle. So I'm all about the LCO, but talk about what you got going on there.
So I scoured the optics library in Modern Warfare to try and find something that looked really close to what is on to the Leupold LCO. Couldn't find anything, but there is the hollow sight. The flip to side hybrid is what it's referred to in the video game, which is basically, it is an EOTech XPS series with their G33 flip to side magnifier. And just like in the game, we can actually just throw that to the side by hand, and you can get a zero magnification, reflex red dot type window. If you flip that back, now you get a 3-power magnification, so you get better target identification at distance. It makes some long-range engagements a little easier. So that's why we went with that. It is available in the game, and like you said, there is a connection to just about anybody who has served in the military. Throughout the course of the global war on terror has probably come across an EOTech in one form or another throughout the course of their career.
And that's what I love about Infinity Ward was, they were able to scan in my platform, but then they use an EOTech and 3x magnifier, which every military guy knows that platform. So I thought that they put together, even though they changed the Soulful Wonder, I thought they did put together a beautiful platform for the character.
The trigger bow was pretty unique, as you saw it on the game. Tell me a little bit about your actual trigger, and then we'll go to what I wound up with.
Yeah, I like a Geisley, just a 2-stage trigger. It gives me a good positive reset. But that looks like a Geisley, or is that not a Geisley?
That is not a Geisley trigger, so there are some similarities, but one of the things I noticed in the game is the trigger shoe itself, the part that you actually put your finger on to press the trigger. It had it was skeletonized. It has a cutout through the middle of it. And that was a particularly difficult feature to try and find in a trigger shoe. And so what we wound up going with was the Rise Armament RA535 trigger. You know, you're going to get to shoot it yourself and you can tell me what you think about it. But I've been pretty impressed with it so far, the couple of rounds that I've gotten to put through it.
Can't wait to shoot it.
Well, we have, lucky for you, I brought a couple of 100 rounds from Grind Hard Ammo with me. So let's hit the range and I'll give you a chance to put some rounds through the actual Soulful Wanderer.
Closing in.
Now that we're back from the range, I am very curious to hear what your impression is of our rifle.
When Tom and I first talked, he told me he was reconstructing this rifle. And I already told him, I'm like, oh, there's already a rifle constructed. But he really did his research here and constructed this rifle. I was looking on the video game, I was looking at some of the photos, and man, you nailed this thing down, okay? First, that's the visuals. But second, when I picked this thing up, man, it was light. All right, that's the first thing I noticed about the barrel was extremely light. The weapon moved very fast. That means that I can manipulate this weapon very fast. I like the ambidextrous features on this weapon. I thought it shot clean, man. It shot really flat. Wow. This is amazing. Great job, guys. So this thing handles well. I love the brake on here. The recoil management works well. I would move the forward grip forward just because of my shooting style. But overall performance, this thing performs totally accurate, and it's an exact replica of Call of Duty. Don't fear death, fear me.